It's the February show of the Boomer Music Experience 2025 version with my good friend Randy Halmo. And you and I were talking last month about who we were going to do this month. And I just felt with the association of Valentine's Day, Smokey was the man. I don't know what you thought, but I know you came back with the email saying yes, yes. Uh, so tell the folks who we're talking about today.
Yeah, Smokey Robinson. Good choice too, Dave. Good choice, especially for Valentine's. And to all the ladies out there, don't forget your Valentine on Valentine's Day. And February the 14th is coming faster than you think.
Yes,
And
yes, we're already there. It's
to the
going to be the
guys,
first of the month.
make sure you have roses for your special gal. Roses and diamonds are still a girl's best friend. There we go. Okay.
That
Smokey.
brought to you by.
Yeah.
You're getting plugs in, I think, for your brother there, aren't you?
Right on.
Elmo Jewelers.
You got her.
And you can
That's
stop by
good.
your local florist to pick up your red roses as well.
Yep. Right on.
I never
Yep.
even thought about that till you mentioned diamonds, and I thought we never plug your brother. We should do that once in a while,
Yep.
shouldn't we?
Absolutely. Yep.
Your family history is right there in that jewelry industry. But
Yep.
Smokey Robinson, the distinctness in that voice. I know you're going to go through the history, but
hmm
man, that voice is so soothing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's he's got a very mellow voice. It's totally different from a lot of the singers in the Motown era, and I think that's why not only being, as I mentioned, a good singer, soul singer, but also songwriter, record producer, and of course, a former record executive. Of course, now we're talking mid 60s. That's back when vinyl was quite a
King,
bit in. Well, guess what? Vinyl's coming back big
you got
time.
that right.
So, Smokey Robinson, he was born February the 19th, 1940. He is, as I mentioned, he's an American R&B and soul singer, songwriter, record producer, and former record executive. Like, how good is that? He was the founder and front man of the pioneering Motown vocal group The Miracles, Smokey Robinson and The Miracles, for which he's also their chief songwriter and producer. So not only singer, like this guy is so multi-talented in the music industry, like wow, it's unbelievable. There's a lot of singers out there who have great voices, who have made quadruple platinum hits, but in this day and age, and even back in the mid 60s, to be an artist, to be a record producer, songwriter, like, wow, that is mega, mega talent. Wouldn't you agree, Dave?
Totally agree, and especially in that era when rock and roll was just everything was just coming together for music at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he was born in 1940, so he's 85 this year. But also just the development of Motown and where he started with the Miracles, I think is incredible. I'm with you 100%. This is legendary. This is the guy's. I don't
Yeah,
think we give him his props.
yeah. And now we're going back a little bit. He led the group from 1955. Okay, this is the origin, when they formed a band called the Five Chimes. That's interesting, the Five
Yeah.
Chimes. And he was with them until 1972. Now, when he retired from the group to focus on his role as Motown Records vice president, okay, Robinson returned to the music industry as a solo artist the following year. He left Motown in 1999. So from 1960, late 64, 1965 to 1999. Wow. How good is that?
Yeah.
That's like a lifetime. Smokey was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987, and he was awarded in 2016, just a few years ago, the Library of Congress Gershwin Prize. And what this basically is, Dave, it's a Lifetime Achievement Award for Smokey Robinson, and rightly so. He is also a double Hollywood Walk of Fame inductee as a solo artist, okay, from 1983, and as a member of the Miracles circa 2009. Now, in 2022, just 3 short years ago, he was inducted into the Black Music and Entertainment Walk of Fame. Good for Smokey Robinson. Now, Dave, I'd like to just go into some of the background history, Smokey's early life and early career. Smokey was born into an Afro-American family, his father and mother. So, and then his mom, she also had French descent. Okay, so here you've got Afro-American, a little bit of French thrown in. They were a very, very poor family, and they lived in the north end of Detroit, Michigan. He had 2 maternal half-sisters, and his parents divorced when he was only 3 years old. Wow. So Robinson's ancestry is also part of Nigerian, Scandinavian, Portuguese, and Cherokee. Wow.
Yes.
What a mixture. His Uncle Claude gave him the nickname Smokey Joe. Hey, that's pretty good. When he was a child. Hey, Smokey Joe. Now, in 2012, Robinson, he explained that his Uncle Claude, he was his favorite uncle. He was also Smokey's godfather. And they were really, Dave, they were really, really close together. He asked to take me out to see the many ball games, and just, they were so, so close. And, I think in life, the siblings, they need to feel close to their parents, or if their parents have passed, to an uncle, to a relative in the family circle. It means so, so much. When Robinson was 10, his mother passed away, and he began living with his older sister, Geraldine, with her husband, and they had 10 children together. 10 children together. Hokey Dinah. He attended the Northern High School, where he was an above average student academically, and he was also an exceptional athlete. However, his main interest was music, and he formed a doo-wop group named the Five Chimes. That was the first band that he was involved with, first and foremost. And he and Aretha Franklin, who in her own right has quite a legacy in the music world, but Smokey and Aretha Franklin, they lived several houses from each other on Belmont Street in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. He said he'd known Franklin since she was about 5 years young, overhearing her play the piano when he had come to play with her older brother, Cecil, after her family first moved to Detroit. So how good is that?
That's great. I didn't know that.
He knew Aretha Franklin. Like,
early on.
wow, that's a lot of respect.
Yes.
Yes. So 2 years later, they were renamed the Matadors and included Bobby Rogers, another member, Emerson Rogers, and Bobby Rogers' cousin, Claudette Rogers, the sister. So here we have quite the group. And eventually what they did, they changed their name from the Five Chimes to the Miracles. Okay, the Miracles and Motown. Here we go. In August of 1957, Robinson and the Miracles and songwriter Berry Gordy, here's a key player, Berry Gordy, after a failed audition for Brunswick Records. At that time during the audition, Robinson had brought along with him a Big 10 notebook with 100 songs he wrote. 100 songs. And this is back in 1957, Dave.
He's like 17 years old.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's impressive.
Unbelievable. And so it certainly caught the eye of Berry Gordy. And Gordy was impressed with Robinson's vocals but even more impressed with Robinson's ambitions as a songwriter. Oh, yes, indeed. So, with his help, the Miracles released their first single entitled Got a Job, an answer song to the Silhouettes' hit single, Get a Job. And of course, that was on End Records. It was the beginning of a long and successful collaboration. Now, during this time, Robinson attended college and started classes in January of 1959. He studied electrical engineering. He dropped out only after 2 months following the Miracles' release of their first record. So, electrical engineering to music. Wow, that's like one end of the field to the other when you talk of the disciplines and the study involved with both subject matters. So Barry Gordy, he formed Tamla Records. And of course, back in the late 50s, most of the decade of the 60s, Tamla Records were huge. Tamla Records. They were right up there with Columbia Records, Epic Records, and just to mention a few. So the Miracles became one of the first acts to sign with Tamla Records. Now, although there had been some former signage there, this was the formation with Tamla when Motown was starting to hit big. In late 1960, the group recorded their first hit single, Shop Around, which became Motown's first million-selling hit record. Now, between 1960 and 1970, that decade, the decade of the 60s, Robinson would produce 26 top 40 hits with the Miracles as lead singer, their chief songwriter, and producer, including top 10 hits such as You've Really Got a Hold on Me, Mickey's Monkey, I Second That Emotion. These are all quadruple platinum hits, Dave. And Baby, Baby, Don't Cry. Now, in the May of 1970, they also had a really super hit, May of 1970, Tears of a Clown, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Great, great sound. In fact, Dave, I would go as far to say that would be my most favorite song of
right
Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Tears of a Clown, circa May 1970. How about yourself, Dave? What would your favorite song be?
I totally got to agree with you. And that song stands the test of time. 50, it would be, what, 55 years old this year.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's incredible. That's just so unique. And yeah, I agree with you. There's something, it's such a catchy tune at the start too, right? Just the way he comes in. I just think it's, when you were mentioning some of those too, you start to realize how many hits. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Oh, we always go through this every month. You forget some of the, you remember the main ones, they stay with you, but those other hits, maybe you forget. Obviously, before my time, some of them. But isn't that crazy? And they were doing this. He was doing all this in the era of the Beatles. They were taking over the charts, but he's still holding his own with all this. And like you said, that many hits.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to excuse myself, Dave, for 10 seconds. Got to get some water.
Yeah, for sure. Grab a glass of water, Randy, and clear that throat. And I'll hold the fort while you're getting your water. Today, Randy's talking about Smokey Robinson and the legend that he is, and the Miracles is what we're just getting through. And we're up to getting into the 1970s right now, where Randy's talking about where Smokey goes, what his career looks like as far as that early stages and where it's going to go to, and his involvement directly into Motown and how big it was in that era. It's crazy, folks, when you think about it. It really is that this man created such a legacy of music in that period of time that's still, like Randy and I said.
I'm sorry, I should have got some water before.
No problem. And it's still carrying on today. That music that Randy's talking about, Tears of a Clown, is one of the biggest hits for sure of all time for Smokey Robinson. And it just shows, right? Like I said earlier, he's in that era where he's competing with the Beatles. There's
Hmm.
Elvis. There's the Rolling Stones, right? He's competing
Oh,
with all these,
absolutely.
and Motown's huge at this point, and he's doing it. He's in the game, if you don't mind me saying it that way.
Hmm.
He's a big player of Motown, probably the star pupil, really, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely, Dave. Now, between 1962 and 1966, Robinson was also one of the major songwriters and producers for Motown, penning many hit singles such as Two Lovers, The One Who Really Loves You, You Beat Me to the Punch. And also, he wrote a lot of really good songs for Mary Wells. And of course,
Yeah,
we all know from 1964, My Guy,
yeah.
Mary Wells. What a great, great song that was. For Mary Wells, that went quadruple platinum. And it was May of 1964.
And
Um,
one thing I want to ask you too, just to check on Tears of a Clown, wasn't Stevie Wonder involved in that? Did he rate? There
yes,
was
he was. He absolutely was, Dave. Yep,
what a
Stevie Wonder.
combination right there, eh?
Oh, yeah. And Stevie Wonder, Motown, his first big hit back in 1963 was Fingertips Part 2. And that went skyrocketing to #1 on the Billboard Top 100. And it was a quadruple platinum hit.
Wow.
Fingertips, Stevie Wonder. Now, after the arrival, we need to talk a bit about Holland, Dozier, and Holland. On all of the records in the Motown era, underneath the title of the song, you'll see Holland, Dozier, Holland. Now, in this team, they wrote a lot of top songs for many different artists involved in Motown, of course, along with Smokey Robinson, too. But you'll note most of the 45s that I have, and I still have, during the Motown era, just underneath the title of the song, have Holland, Dozier, Holland. That's an important group of men to remember for songwriting during the Motown era. In 1969, Smokey Robinson, he wanted to retire from touring to focus on raising his two children, of course, with his wife Claudette, and on his duties as a Motown vice president. Now, this was a job that really took, of course, being vice president of a company, a lot of time involved and attention to detail. However, the success of the group's Tears of a Clown made Smokey Robinson stay with the group until 1972. His last performance with the group was in July of 1972 in Washington, D.C. So here we have Dave from 1955 to 1972. That's
Mhm.
quite a number of
Yeah,
years.
17 years with him.
Let's take a look now at Smokey's solo career. After the year of retirement, Smokey announced a comeback with the release of the song Smokey. Well, actually, it was an album called Smokey, and that was in 1973. So here he's back on the comeback trail. And one of the songs in that album, along with the Miracles, Sweet Harmony. And that turned out to be quite a very good selling song. Baby Come Close, another one on the album. In 1974, Smokey's second album, entitled, and this is perfect. The name of this album, Pure Smokey. How good is that?
There you go.
That is really, really good. Now, he also worked along with Eddie Kendricks, and they had multiple hit singles during this time frame. So here we see Tony collaborating again with different artists, and the Kendricks. They have been in music for quite a while too, but there's a good match with the Kendrick and Robinson team
Yeah.
back to back. And here's an interesting fact, Dave. Former Beatle George Harrison featured the track Pure Smokey on his 1976 album entitled 33 1/3. Okay, the title of his album. And this was a direct tribute to Smokey Robinson.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
How good is that? Wow. So Harrison's fellow Beatles, John Lennon and Paul McCartney, were also fans of Smokey Robinson's songwriting. And the group covered You Really Got a Hold on Me on their second UK album, with the Beatles and the US album, The Beatles' second album, respectively. So here we have the Beatles singing an original song written by Smokey Robinson, and it became a hit for them also.
Ultimate respect, eh? The ultimate respect.
Oh, absolutely. So Robinson, he answered his critics the following year with A Quiet Storm, and that was released in 1975. Now, this album, it launched 3 singles. One, of course, the R&B hit, Baby, That's Back at Ya. Baby, That's Back at Ya. And The Quiet Storm, that was another one, and the Agony in the Ecstasy.
Oh.
So here we are, and we're looking at like June of 1975. Hey, wow.
It's already been 20 years in the industry, right?
Yep. And so Robinson's solo career suffered a bit from his work as Motown's vice president, and his own music took a bit of a backseat. But as a result, several albums, including Smokey's Family Robinson Deep in My Soul, their promotions were not as good as some of the albums that he'd released previously. In 1981, Smokey topped the charts again. Here we go with another sensual ballad entitled Being With You. Being With You.
I remember that.
Which was another #1 hit in the Billboard Top 100, and it peaked at number 2.
Ooh.
Okay, and this is the Billboard Top 100. So it was a hit, a #1 hit in the UK singles chart. And that UK singles chart, Dave, that would be equivalent to the US's Billboard Top 100.
Mm-hmm.
That has as much, I hate to say the word power or authority in the UK singles chart as Billboard Top 100 in the States.
Perfect.
And they're both great references to music over the many, many decades. So in 1987 now, following a period of personal and professional issues, Robinson made a comeback with his album One Heartbeat. Okay, now in this album, the songs Just to See Her and One Heartbeat, both those songs went quadruple platinum. And One Heartbeat, that is in the list of one of the top 50 love songs of all time. Smokey Robinson, One Heartbeat. If you get a chance to listen to that, Dave, it's a good one. The lyrics really say it all.
I will. I definitely will. It's. I'm trying to remember it when you said it. I'm like, I've heard of that. It's not coming in clear yet in my brain, but yeah, I remember that era, and for sure, I probably definitely know the song once I hear it. It's funny once you hear it, it comes right back to you.
Oh, absolutely. You remember it very, very vividly, and also exactly what you were doing at that time in your life.
Ladies in your life at that time, obviously.
Right on. Yeah. Tony was, Smokey Robinson, he was inducted as a solo artist to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988. Later, igniting controversy as the committee had inducted only Robinson and not members of the Miracles. But that got changed very smoothly and very quickly because, after all, the other artists to form the Miracles, it was the entire group. Of course, Smokey was the key singer, but team effort.
They were the Miracles.
Team effort makes it work.
Yeah.
Yep. So, in 2003 now, Smokey once again split ties with Motown, releasing a gospel album, Food for the Spirit. So here we have a totally different concept of music for Smokey. Motown, here we're going into gospel music. So from this, we can ascertain that Smokey Robinson had a huge selection of music. He didn't just stick to one particular genre of music. He had multiple genres of music that he focused on and did very well with. And there's not a lot of artists who, even down through the years, could really match that. Wouldn't you agree, Dave?
Yeah, the only one that I can think of was Elvis. He could swing from gospel to rock and roll. So, yeah.
Absolutely. In April of 2017, Robinson visited the Fremont Lopez Elementary School in Stockton, California, where he served as a designated arts mentor under the Turnaround Arts. That's great for Smokey. That's in July 31st, 2018. Like, this is just, a few years back. Robinson appeared on the Fox Network show Beat Shazam as a special guest. Robinson appeared on the song Make It Better from Anderson .Paak's 2019 album. So here again, he's coordinating his efforts with other artists as a songwriter, record producer. It all makes sense. And in 2023, just only 2 years ago, Smokey Robinson announced that he would release his first album in almost a decade in April of 2023. The 9-track album would be called Gasms. Okay. And this album featured entirely new music, totally new music for Smokey. And the first single from that album that made it certainly on the Billboard Top 100 and right up there too in the top 20, the song entitled If We Don't Have Each Other. And it's already available for streaming. I forget how many
streams.
I think about 1.5 million streamings on this one song alone. And we're talking like 2023. That's only a couple of years ago.
He's 83 years old and he's still releasing music, right? That tells you all you need to know.
Absolutely. And of course, nowadays with streaming, everybody seems to be streaming the music, which is fine. It's another major contribution in high tech for the music industry. Now, on the beginning in November 2023, Smokey is the current owner and host of the Sirius XM channel Soul Town.
Soul Town. Okay.
Yeah,
I've heard of that.
And that's Sirius XM, which is a station that plays R&B and soul hits from the 1950s to the early 1980s.
We're going to have to get you that, Randy. You're going to have to check that out. I think we both are.
Yeah. We definitely got to check that one out. Yeah. And, of course, released under the banner Smokey's Soul Town, Robinson occasionally appears on the channel, recalling his best moments with Motown and meeting other artists, as well as a pick from his favorite songs during that time frame. Now, with all of Smokey's accomplishments, we're going to look at his awards and his accolades.
Yeah, because there's going to be when you start in 1955, I think we said that, and then you go right through the 2023, 2024, you said he's still active in the music industry. There's going to be a few awards, isn't there, Randy?
Oh, absolutely. On February 22nd, 1983, Smokey was awarded an individual star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Okay, 1983. 4 years later, in 1987, Robinson was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Robinson's single Just to See Her, and that was from the One Heartbeat album, was awarded the Grammy Award for the best male R&B vocal performance, the year 1988. Wow. And this was Smokey's first Grammy Award in 1988. And yet,
Really?
here we are. We've had him start way back in 1955, his music career.
That's his first Grammy?
Yeah. And then 1 year later, in 1989, he was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. So here we have a number of awards for Smokey where it really focuses on him as an artist, him as a songwriter, him as a record producer. So like he's got all these talents, just unbelievable. Robinson, he was one of the 5 Kennedy Center honorees, along with Dolly Parton. Dolly, she's our 9 to 5 girl. And also Steven Spielberg and Andrew Lloyd Webber. So he's in darn good company there.
There's good company.
But yeah, I'm surprised too that when they had said the Heartbeat album, actually that was in the album itself, I guess, the Grammy Award for the best male singer and performance. But that seems like I would have thought he would have won Grammys well before that.
Yeah, even for his songwriting, maybe there's different categories he had already had success in, and maybe that was the first one in that field. But yeah, I some of those songs he wrote, you would think would have been up for Grammys too, right?
Oh, absolutely. On March 20th, 2009, the Miracles were finally honored, thank you, as a group with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And rightly so.
Yep.
It was a really good team effort. Okay, Smokey at the lead artist with the Miracles. But here again, I have to emphasize a team effort, taking nothing away from Smokey as a solo artist. Now, Smokey was present with the original Miracle members when they accepted the award. And, well, of course, why not? Why wouldn't he be?
Should be.
In 2009, Smokey received an honorary doctorate degree along with Linda Ronstadt and gave a commencement speech. Now, this was at the Berklee College of Music's commencement ceremony. So right along there with Linda Ronstadt. Wow. In 2015, Smokey was given a Lifetime Achievement Award, and there we are.
Yep.
And this Lifetime Achievement Award to any artist, Dave, is the epitome. It's the top of the pinnacle of fame. You get a Lifetime Achievement Award, and that's the best of the best. Unbelievable. In 2023, 2 years ago, Rolling Stone ranked Robinson at number 23 on their list of the top 200 greatest singers of all time. Well, Dave, I'm going to have to disagree with that rating by Rolling Stone. I think Smokey Robinson should be in the top 10 greatest singers of all time. Wouldn't you agree, Dave?
Yeah, I'm thinking top 10, top 15. There's so many, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's the legacy. So I think you're right. I think he definitely has to be in the top 10 for sure.
Yeah. And one other award that he received that is certainly worth mentioning, in 2016, Smokey received the Library of Congress Gershwin's Prize for Popular Song. And on August 21st of 2016, he was inducted into the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame in his hometown of Detroit. Now, how good is that? That really
must have meant
says
a lot.
It all.
Yeah, that must have meant a lot to him, really. When you think
for
about
sure.
it, right? You're going home. You're going home.
Absolutely. And hey, folks, there we have it. Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. A case in time history. Great, great music.
So when you're DJing and you have to, and it's that time of the evening and you want a slow song, do you pull out a little Smokey now and then?
I certainly do, Dave. I certainly do. Yep. And that one heartbeat, that is a beautiful slow song from the album of the same name. And I'm sure I'm going to get numerous requests on that on the
Yes.
next month's Valentine's dances that I'll be doing. I've got a few of those I'm doing next month. So, uh, and to the guys, please remember your sweetheart on Valentine's Day. That's what it's all about. That is what really is life is all about. Helping one another, the love you feel for family. That's really in life the best. What do you think, Dave?
I couldn't have said any better, and I think that's reminding guys that it's Valentine's Day, and the ladies is an important aspect of what we do on this show every January for the February show. Make sure that
Right
no
on.
one's
Yep.
forgotten. And I'm so blown away by Smokey Robinson. There's so many other names that came up during today's show. I think we're going to have to sort through those and pick our March show. But thanks for doing this today. Great, great points on Smokey that I didn't even know about, which was really cool. And just seeing again that legacy coming from nothing, right?
Yes.
Starting with nothing. And look at that career and that
Oh,
drive, that joy of music and what
absolutely
he gave to
phenomenal,
the
Dave.
rest of the world, right?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Yep.
Well, you enjoy Valentine's Day with your sweetheart, and I will with mine. Take care. Thanks for doing this show today, Randy.
Will do, Dave. Thanks very much. Enjoyed the opportunity once again, and looking forward to next month's theme. And we want everyone to please join in on the podcast. Some interesting stuff coming up in music.
Take
Thank
care.
you.